Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks, go Bucks. First and goal, gotta tough it out. Get in the end zone and call a hot route. O-line to beat, Mike down the street. And have Humphreys run right underneath. You know it's Bucks ball, we got the hardest D. Bring the pressure to the QB. You know it's routine, we got hard greens. Welcome to Tampa, welcome to Tampa. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Reppin' for my team. Go Bucks, go Bucks. You know we want the ring. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Welcome to the Bay. Go Bucks, go Bucks. Tune in with Buccaneer Blade. Bucks back, we can run and toss. Mike Evans looking like Randy Moss. And Jameis making play after play. On the defense, you can't stop Levante. On my boy McCoy, who you can't avoid. At the Raymond James, you about to feel the pain. If you a Bucks fan, make a lot of noise. If you a Bucks fan, make a lot of noise. Go Bucks.
Well, let it run for a second. We're at 18 seconds in a row. Looks like we're good to go. Welcome back to another live stream edition of Bucnblake Sports with your host, Mr. Buccaneer Blake himself. It's been a hectic December. I ain't been on the grind as much as I have. I will be coming up with the off season and all of that coming up. So with my GM decisions and all that stuff, as I told you, a buddy of mine, Anthony, challenged me to a Buccaneer GM challenge. He's going to be looking forward to seeing this big, long article with my moves and adjustments. And it's going to Miss Vanessa and all that type of stuff, seeing what's going on with the team and what should go forward and stuff like that. So it's a good challenge I'm going to take, and I'm going to see how much happens. I put out during the game when people were talking about Chris Godwin. And I wrote an article about Chris Godwin in April, way before the draft. And I was spot on with it, much like I was with Aaron Donald when he came out. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but I see talent, and I knew it. And I see the qualities in people that have the drive. Oh, Lord. What's up, Aurora? So let's get into today's topics. Winston's performance Sunday. The past two Sundays have been great. The part that's intrigued me into performance was when you was, yes, loudmouth Jay. The part that intrigues me in the performance was when he was staring down the gun, the barrel of the gun. He didn't freak out and throw interceptions and make error throws or try to do too much and cost the team. He took the sack. I saw times he thought about it. He wanted to raise his arm and make the throw, but he didn't do it. And the part, when I said to my friends, I said, there's something different about him now. The part that I see is different. He's patient now in the pocket, and he's patient with a terrible O-line. Just imagine if he had a decent O-line and he was sitting back there like that. He'd be destroying folks. But it is what it is. He almost threw for 400 yards and only threw 6 incompletions, if I'm not mistaken. 21 for 27, so 6 incompletions. I can't remember if they were drop passes or just chalk them up as incompletions because they don't get a stat for that. He's been playing well. It's the decision making that's what's concerning. I know people want to go, oh, the wins and losses. You can't doubt that. I said it before and I've said it again. Football is a full team sport. It's not about one person. I know the quarterback gets the praise and he gets the fall too. But as a fan, you got to understand one or the other. When your quarterback's costing your game, or when a quarterback is not costing your game. But like I said, I see something different in Jameis Winston Sunday. I saw something different, and it, like I said this previously and many other shows, you're getting to watch. You're getting to watch something happen, and I know it's not what you thought it was, the 4-10, 4-11 performance right now, but it happens sometimes. You have to be put in your place to learn that you have a lot more to gain later on down the road. I know everybody's just ready for us to excel and and be this playoff team, but you got to learn how to be a playoff team. Then you have to learn how to win in the playoffs, what it takes to go beyond 16-game season, because the season's not over at week 17. Now you got 3 or 4 more games, or how many games you win to make it and win the Super Bowl. And it's going to take that extra effort, that extra work to get there. I honestly just want to get to the playoffs so Gerald McCoy can lay his hat on and have a playoff experience. Because if anybody on this roster or part of this organization deserves a playoff contention, a playoff chance, it's him. Blood, sweat, and tears for this team, and never weary, never turning down, never snide, never wishing you never had came here. But let me get back on topic. Winston's performance has been something I've been keeping my eye on, and I've enjoyed it, watching him grow and continue to grow. We have to keep stability here. Let's move on to the next thing from Winston's performance. Chris Baker. I'm going to tie this Chris Baker in the locker room yelling into one. I know there's an article that's came out, and it's about, and it's pertaining to Chris Baker's jumping off sides at the end of the game. Granted, that could have been anybody, but the players are upset, and you think Gerald McCoy doesn't really have much say-so in the team and all that stuff. Gerald McCoy had told him prior to the snap that watch for Cam Newton's hard count, and so did Devontae David, and he still jumped off sides. You got to understand, you want to make a play, but you have to make a smart play. You 4th and 7, you turn into it was a 4th and 6. You turn to 4th and 1 or 4th and 7. I think that's what it was, because where the ball was, you have to go on the half-yard line. But you turn to a 4th and 1 and make it much easier for a running team to gain 1 yard with the backs and the quarterback that they have. But it's not about making a mistake. I always said in the game, you're going to make a mistake, make it big. If you're going to get beat for a touchdown, grab him and get a pass interference. I'll take that any day over a touchdown. That's the smart penalty. But that wasn't a smart penalty he took, and it's the attitude after the penalty is what pissed off players on this team, captains on this team. And when you guys say people lost their players and they don't care anymore, you're seeing that's false. I said, if somebody don't care, why are they trying to fight somebody in the locker room for somebody's there who's a cancer to this team? I mean, they want to weed him out. I don't think Chris Baker will be here next year. Granted, it's going to hurt us with dead money, depending on what the contract issues were. But we still going to need a D tackle. You still have to add players here, because Clinton McDonald's at the end of his contract, so we'll be short 2 D tackles. So it's interesting how this is going to play out. Upcoming off season, the Rams don't want to pay Aaron Donald. I think they need to go ahead and try to make a trade for that. Because Gerald McCoy is not young anymore, and not as young, and Aaron Donald still got some gas in the tank, and them two could play off of each other. That's just my thing. I'm just throwing that out there. What's up, Cassidy? Lost train of thought for a second. It's the attitude after the game and after the penalty. You're smiling coming off the field, and Jameis Winston is already hot after the ref granted a turnover to a player that didn't come up with the ball, and then you deal with your own teammate in the locker room, not giving a darn about what happened and not remorseful for it, and you just can't have that on any team. I know I talk about Bucks a whole bunch and all that, but if anybody knows me, first and foremost, I am a football fan. Oh, Carlos now, there's a guy I ain't seen in many years, an ex-teammate of mine, Mr. Carlos. I know your son's out there playing for South Carolina. Keep me updated. It doesn't matter. You have to have a better attitude for your team. Like Cancer's like, yes, I am, Cassidy. You have to keep a good attitude and get rid of players that you don't need around here and things like that. Like T.J. Ward saying some certain things to people in the store, talking about what's a Mike Smith defense. Like, why do you say things like that? I know you're in this is a losing effort with the season and all that, and you came here after your team casted you out, and we took you in and gave you $4 or $5 million, and you make statements like that just because we're losing. and then you throw people under the bus. Like, you don't want that kind of cancer here. And then you're out partying and all that nonsense. Him, Deshaun Jackson, and I think Quan, like, they got it's just, you got to change the attitude, and it's kind of hard to do that with free agent players who's only here for a temporary ride versus players who want to finish their careers here. You see the mindset difference because they're only here. I've said this before: covenant contract or covenant. Covenant, you're here for the ride no matter what. You're going to charge the gun tower. Covenant contract, you're only here for the good stuff. You didn't sign up for the bad, so you X out of your contract. And you can match that to football. You can match that to relationships. You can match that to anything. I'm sure any of y'all can relate. Covenant over contract. And it's still my line. I ain't gonna trademark it. Covenant over contract. There's a difference. And that's just it. Winston wanted to get in Chris Baker's face and all that because of the nonsense going on, and he don't care and all that. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen week 17. I hope Stevie T is ready to play and he can step in there and play for him. He's a fan favorite and a great story he had. Looking forward to seeing him play. Last but not least, let's go into the coaching. I thought it was some shaky calls down in the goal line, but it's been like that all season. With this team, we're always a step behind trying to catch somebody. We're not taking advantage of things we need to take advantage of, and that's just been the season as its entire totality. Is what the season's been like. We're always trying to play catch up. We're never ahead of the game. We're never like, oh, that was great planning or something like that. That's just what it's been. And that's one of the things that's got to change too. They can't change. Players can't change that. Mental preparation and being in the right place when you're supposed to be, or being at the right place at the right time, comes with planning and strategical moves. And that's just some things you're going to have to learn dealing with a young team. I know we got like 2 people here. Like I said, if anybody got any questions or stuff, I can answer it at the end. But the coaching, not just the planning and stuff, it's keeping the continuity of the coaches. I know everybody wants Mike Smith going. Mike Smith is the one playing. Mike Smith can't make players get off blocks and do things like that. He's sending blitzes, and they're just not getting there. And those are the things we're going to have to create with this offseason. You're going to have to fix this pass rush. And with my GM report, I'll have all that covered with the right guys. Both I ain't going to say superstar. I'm going to say adequate players. Yeah, you can't make them tackle either. You can only do but so much. And when I come up with you missed Lovin yet? Oh, Lovey. I get you, bro. Lovey, yeah. Let me finish what I'm saying before I jump into that target, because that's a whole nother conversation entirely. He can't make them execute it. He can only put them in the position, and that's all you're supposed to do as a coach. Like, who's the Eagles head coach? Your job as a coach is to make average players good, bad players average, and that's your job as a coach. And you can do that, man. Belichick's good at that. You gear towards things that players do best, and you put them in positive, successful situations. Successful situations. Doug Peterson, he puts in successful situations. And they were ready, like the Eagles were ready to get rid of Nelson Aguilar. Now Nelson Aguilar is destroying people. He's from Tampa too. I know people that know him, that grew up with him in training before he left the USA. And you have to put people in successful situations. And that's what football is. You just can't throw people out there. You have to gear towards everything, because just the strength of raw talent is not good enough in this league anymore. You have to do above and beyond to be great in this league. Just showing up don't work. But let me get to the Lovey thing. See, the interesting part about Lovey, he took over this team when it was piss poor. And you're forced to rebuild this team and get in gear and try to get the right pieces for this team, which he started doing. He did things that we didn't think he was going to do. He spent a lot of time in the offseason picking up offensive players, and then worked on defense on the back end, just trying to pick up defensive players, as a goal just to keep a structural team. Knowing these players are, inadequate, and they weren't the right guys to to propel our defense to anything. That's why these next couple of drafts and offseason moves need to be fixing the defense. We got the offensive parts now. I know people still want to draft a running back, but you need to fix your offensive line. There's a couple things you need to fix that will fix other things. So that's why I said football is an entire team sport. And if one part of the cog doesn't work, then the rest of the cogs don't work. And that's just a fact. If you can't block, I'm telling you, if you can't block, you can't do either or. You can't run and you can't pass. It doesn't matter if you have a receiver that can run a 4 flat. He has no time to get down the field because the line can't hold up. You can't set your feet and make an accurate throw through defenders. You can't do it. I don't care what fans say. Just look at the game itself. You can't do it. And much like defense, the pass rush, your corners aren't that bad. I said, but if you got average or average or below average corners, and you're asking them to cover for 6 to 7 seconds, then they look real bad. Any corner's gonna look real bad. We had Darrell Revis, and he looked real bad because he had to force the cover for 7+ seconds. You got to fix this pass rush, man, and that's got to be the main priority. Ain't no running back, ain't no receiver, ain't no corner. You need to fix this pass rush ASAP, and that's coming from me, Bucnblake Sports, and Mr. Buccaneer Blake himself, and we need to fix the pass rush now, like yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm still tripping off the fact that we had a guy named Daniel Tianesum on this team for Michael Bennett. I'm still on that, but Lovey knew. This team wasn't ready, and he did his best to try to mesh what we could together. And a lot of the Buck fans, I don't even know if they're Buccaneer fans sometimes, Jordan. I don't know what they are, and I think they're confused because this team is confused. We have yet to find our identity, and when we find our identity, we're gonna be dangerous. We have to find our identity, man, because we're getting pulled in so many different directions because of what he's saying. He and she says what they think. We need to get an identity, and we need to stick with it. And like I said, I like the Eagles. They found their quarterback and they found their identity. The Bird Gang. I hate the Birds, but I can't hate Carson Wentz. We need to find our identity ASAP, and stop listening to outside forces. You come in here with a game plan. You execute your game plan. Sometimes you got to make audibles in your game plan, and that's just life, and that's just football. You're going to get wrinkles, but what you do with the wrinkles and adjust is what sets you from good to great. That's just it, man. I ain't really got much more. I've rambled on for 16 minutes and 28 seconds already. No, he's not a 28-4 fan. He's not. Jordan's an Eagle fan. He's gonna laugh right along with you with the Falcons blowing that one because they blew that. I'm gonna end this as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it, is entirely up to you. Be safe. God bless, and fire those cannons.